What's up, Bootstrappers? This is Ryan Nickel coming at you with another coaching tip, and I am on my way to an appointment, and I'm doing my daily mid-morning snack, which is Honeycrisp apples and some peanut butter. Gotta love it. A little bit of crunchy peanut butter, that is. So, I'm gonna be extremely impolite and rude and talk to you with my mouth full. And chew slowly and laugh with my mouth open so you can see all my food, because I know that's the most attractive thing that you want this morning. All right, so last year I had a deal that was brought to me, and it on the surface looked like a great deal. What's up, Eric? And what's up, Eric? Maybe I won't be eating because this is gonna take forever. It'll be like 45 minutes just to get through this story here. Who else is on here? It says I have 3 people on, but 4 people, but only 2 are showing up. Okay, so last year I had this opportunity brought to me, and I went out and it was 2 houses on the same lot, completely run down. One was a 1-bedroom, one was a 2-bedroom. Needed a bunch of work. The after repair market value was about $250,000. Now, if you split the parcels, which is it's kind of difficult, it's in an area where there's overlapping leach fields and septic and stuff like that, because it's out in a rural community. Hey, Carolyn. So my thought was I was going to split these off and I was going to seller finance both of them. And the owner only wanted wanted $95,000. Actually, we got him down. He wanted I think $120,000. We got him down to $95,000. And they're on 2 separate APNs already, so we thought that we could just split the APNs because they're already split, but it's the same lot itself. Anyway, the more we dove into this one, what's up, Bobby? The more I'm like, man, this is a really good deal. I can make a lot of money on this thing. And that was my first mistake right there, was thinking about how much money I could make from this particular deal. Now, we're all in this to make money, don't get me wrong. But the problem is that I was looking at it from a pure monetary standpoint. My whole philosophy and the reason why I got into this business was to help people with real estate problems move on. Because no one should have their life put on hold because they can't solve some real estate problem. And yet that's what I see a lot of times, is people have put their lives on hold because they can't solve a problem that they're facing right now, and usually it revolves around real estate. So with that being said, I'm going to cut this car off and go on the bridge. Again, this guy was in dire straits. He no longer lived in the house. His son lived in the house, wasn't paying. His sister lived in the house, and his sister had lived there for umpteen years, since the 70s, and she wasn't paying. And he couldn't afford it anymore because he's the one carrying all the property taxes and everything else, and he'd done repairs on the house, and he basically was hard up for cash. So he came to us, and we got him down to $95,000 for the entire project. And I had a buyer that was going to buy it from us for, I believe he was at $150. If I'm not misrepresenting that. Anyway, there was a nice chunk of change in there for us just to do an assignment. So I went out to walk the property, and the sister comes out and she gives me this huge sad story about how her brother's screwing her over and how he's taking advantage of her and how she's destitute, has no money. This house was willed to her by her mom, all this stuff. Hey, what's up, Bobby? What's up, Rusty? I think I already told you, Bobby, but what's up, man? You get 2 what's up today. And this huge story, and then she goes to, and then after she tells me this story about, that what's happening and how her brother's ripping her off and stealing her house and all of this stuff, she goes, so what are you going to do? I go, well, if I don't buy it, somebody else will, so I might as well buy it, and I can give you some cash to help you move on. And she goes, that is so low. I just shared my heart with you and everything that's happening with me in this property and how my brother's ripping me off, and you still want to buy this property? That is so low of you. So low. I cannot believe that you would do that. That's just the lowest thing I've ever heard. And I said, again, your house is being sold by your brother who owns the property. I don't know what the civil disagreement is between you and him, but the house is going to be sold regardless. It might as well be me. It's a great opportunity, and I'm willing to give you some money to help you on your way. The next person might just throw your ass down the street. And she's like, I can't talk to you anymore. And then she had sons there. So her two sons came over, and they're like, my mom's not selling this house at all. Never. And then they're parked in there, and they have like their camper and all this stuff. And the house, like I said, is falling apart. I'm surprised that she still lives in this house. Anyway, again, all I'm concerned about is my money. How much money am I going to make? So we actually were in escrow. We're getting ready to close on this deal, and this was, I kid you not, dude. We were cleared to close. Everything was ready to go, and the escrow agent pulled the title report the day of closing. And all of a sudden, this Liz Pendon shows up. And there's a lawsuit on the property, and now we no longer have clear title. She went and she found herself a lawyer that took her sob story and was willing to work pro bono, and basically threw a wrench in the entire thing. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me right now? Damn it, I want my money. And so we told the buyer that wanted this property, we say, hey, look, we can still close, but you're not going to get clear title, and you can fight the Liz Pendon. He's like, what? No way, dude, I'm out. I don't want this at all. I'm out. Funny story, that buyer, that guy that was going to buy that property, again, I've never met him in my life. He happened to be the guy yesterday whose house caught on fire, who I actually finally met for the first time. He called me up like, hey, Ryan, I just saw you at my house. Come on back here. So he's actually the owner of that property that burnt down, or that caught fire. So I'm like, what the heck is going on here? So that falls through. There's now a lawsuit pending, and this guy's broke. He's destitute. And I go, tell you what, man, I'm going to intervene on your behalf for this lawsuit, but I need to have some upside because it's going to cost me some money. He goes, okay, how much? I said, well, I want to buy the properties for $65,000 then. And he's like, $65,000? I'm like, yeah, we're at 95, but again, man, this lawsuit could cost me 30 grand right then. And without knowing the outcome, it's a risk reward issue. So let's go ahead and write it up for $65,000, but I'm taking title today so that I have a claim to intervene. Okay, dude, let me in. My car's like 3 times the size of yours. Oh, he's like 90 years old. You probably couldn't see me, even though I'm like as big as the Titanic. Okay, so I digress. So he goes, fine, $65,000, but I need some cash right now to pay some of my bills. I'm behind. I was hoping that this was going to happen. I've already spent that money mentally. I'm like, yeah, so have I. And so anyway, I gave the dude $3 grand up front. I go, okay, $65,000, $62,000 at closing. Here's $3 grand today. And so I go ahead and I'm on title now, and then I hire an attorney. The first attorney told me, he's like, $5,000 retainer, and you will bleed through that retainer before we ever get to court. I'm like, what the hell, dude? Come on, man. And he's like, well, I know this attorney, blah, blah, blah. He's like, these attorneys are salesmen, man. They are damn good salesmen. And he's like, well, I know this attorney. He's really good with the law. He knows real estate real well. And, I don't know if I'm going to win. Well, I'm like, well, why am I going to pay you retainer, man? And so that wasn't the one that was good at sales. This other guy, he goes, oh, I know this guy. I've been to battle with him many times, many times. I know his weak spot. I've won several cases against him already. And this is how we do this. But it's going to be a $20,000 retainer. Now, I want you to realize this. A retainer is nothing more than you paying an attorney for their eligibility to work the case. They don't have to work your case. And so I said, well, how much will we get? I'm paying you $20,000 as a retainer. What happens now when we hit he's like, oh, we will blow through that. I'm like, blow through that? How are you going to blow through $20,000? And I went and I did some more research, and I found this out. I'm like, yeah, a retainer is you are just paying for eligibility. The guy, if he's eligible, you got him. It does not mean that he's even started on your case. So you have to tell them, like, look, the money that I am paying you, I want to be applied 100% to your billable hours on my case. So anyway, needless to say, I did not put down $20,000. So what I decided to do was to go pro bono. No, the other attorney went pro bono. I wanted to go pro per on this one, which means I was going to represent myself. So I hired a law firm out of Southern California to draft up my intervention and my basically my pleadings for the court. So I drafted this up. It cost me $4,000. So I'm into this now $7,000. But again, I'm like upside. I got this under contract for $62,000. I'm now on title. All this stuff. I'm like, we're gravy here. This is gold. And I go to court, and I don't know what I'm doing in court at this particular point in my career. I don't have a clue what I'm doing at court. It's a complete foreign language. Yo hablo español. Yo puedo hablar con las personas que hablan español todos los días, sin problema. But when I'm in when I'm in court, I don't understand any legalese. Like technically, like you hear like this legalese. Like I thought that was just like a funny pun or a joke or whatever. No, it really is a thing. Like I get there and the judge is talking back and forth to this guy. He's like, yeah, so blah 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 blah, and he goes and he like it happened in like 45 seconds. I kid you not, 45 seconds. And the judge goes to me, so he's like, Mr. Nickel, do you object to that? I'm like, what? He's like, do you object? No, I don't object to that at all. Great, granted. And I'm like, oh crap, what just happened? So basically, what happened was I defaulted. I defaulted on this guy's lawsuit, which means that it awarded the sister title of the property, and I got wiped out. I didn't know what would happen. So $7,000 out the window, regardless of my contract. Now the sister was awarded title, and I'm like, what the heck just happened here? And I didn't have a clue about any of this stuff. And so now I'm like, great. Fortunately, there was a small lien that was being paid on from the guy who I bought it from, or who I got title from a previous relationship that he had. I guess he got into financial straits before in the past, and a previous employer put a lien on the property, or actually paid it off and put a small mortgage amount. So saving grace on this one is that I'm out. I'm out completely. The guy goes, you lost the court case, you're done. Deed my property back to me. I need to do this. And I'm like, dude, I'm out $7,000. Pay me back. And he's like, I'm not paying you back. And I'm like, what the heck? Well, then I'm like, I'm not doing this. Then I'm on title. So what's happening now is the dude who had a $10,000 lien on the property is foreclosing on the property for $10,000. And his goal is to wipe me out and wipe the sister's claim to title out as well, so he can foreclose on the property. He won't have necessarily clean title because there's still a list pending, but that then becomes a civil issue, which is what my whole court case was about, was that this is a civil issue between a brother and a sister, not between, separate I was trying to demur so they could look on the legal facts as far as succession goes and look who's on title and who's not, but they wouldn't do that. And of course I didn't even know it happened, like I said, in 45 seconds, or it was ridiculous. But so I'm out $7,000, and this guy has a relationship with his previous employer who is foreclosing on the property. He's going to take it back and then he's going to sell it. Hopefully he'll do the right thing and reimburse me. I doubt he's going to reimburse me for my legal costs, but he should at least reimburse me for my $3,000 that I gave him. And not to mention other things that I put into this property. But anyway, the whole point of this particular, crazy story, I should tell you, real estate, bar none, has the craziest stories in the world. So many crazy stuff happens because of real estate, man. And honestly, a lot of it happens because of greed. So like the brother was kicking the sister out of the house. She wasn't paying. I mean, there's a bunch of things that went on in that story there. But my part of it was that I was totally greedy. All I saw was money, money, money. And one of my mentors early on, her name is Alexis McGee. Some of you know her, some of you don't, and that's okay. But if you don't know her, add her, dude. She's amazing. She is an amazing resource, knows so much about real estate. She's been in here for a long, long, long time, played this game. She told me early on, she's like, Ryan, that's blood money. You don't want any part of that. That's totally corrupt. You don't want any of that bad karma based on what's happening between him and his sister. Regardless of who's right and who's wrong, don't take any sides. Just move on. That's not a deal you want to move into. And of course, I'm like, I like to learn things the hard way. So I decided to ignore that advice and just go into this one, dive into it head first, or feet first, or however you want to say it. I just dove into this thing, and I ended up losing money on it. And she was right. She's like, look, man, anytime there's don't get me wrong, there are many properties that I have bought when there's been civil disputes between brothers and sisters, but this one was shady from the get-go, and my gut told me it was shady. It was that he was, I don't know if he was 100% truthful with me or not about the reasons why he was evicting his sister, or why his sister wasn't paying, or how he got title. Like, there was a lot of shady business anyway. And she said, hey, look, you know what? You want to solve problems, and I've had many mentors that have told me this exact same thing. Solve somebody's problem, be their hero, and get the property at the same time. Don't be the villain who comes and takes the property from somebody. That's not who you want to be. That's not the reputation you want. That's not the karma you want following you around. And there's so much truth in that. And that's the fastest way for people to lose money, is to lose sight of that you're actually in this business to help people. And to be, to quote Alexis, she says, to be someone's white knight, to come up and to really help somebody. I've had people cry on my shoulder and thank me that I was their guardian angel. I was sent from God to save them, to help them from financial ruin, and praise my name. Those are the people that I want to work with. Those are the people that I love, that make me feel good, that I wake up in the morning thinking like, yes, I love my job. I love what I do. Plus I get paid for it as well. Hey, what's up, Crystal? I get paid very well. It's, I went to school to be a social worker, and I kid you not, real estate is one of the highest paid social work jobs out there. You are solving people's problems, you're helping put their lives back together, and you're giving a lot of comfort and consoling in this business. And again, you get paid handsomely from it. For me to go ahead and to muddy it up and to get my hands dirty by going into this civil case with this brother and sister, when it was clearly evident that there was a lot of collusion going on between the original owner and a couple of the other parties in this particular transaction that I didn't need to be a party of. But again, learned my lesson, lost $7,000, and it's a great learning experience. There's a lot of opportunities in this business to have a financial education. Sometimes it's a financial bath. Sometimes it's a very costly, financial education that I'll never do again. I'll never make that mistake again. And that's the whole point of this, is to keep your focus on actually helping people. Focus on the deals where you can actually. Hey, thanks for that. Yeah, real estate's one of the highest paid social work jobs out there. It's last name is actually Nickel. So. No worries, but there's actually a funny story. There's another Ryan Nichols who actually spells his name exactly like that, Nichols. And he lives locally about an hour from me, and he buys property, and occasionally we get confused. People will call me up like, hey, I saw you bought this property. I'm like, oh, that's not mine. It's like, yeah, you're on title. I'm like, no, that's not me. And so anyway, we get crossed quite often. We actually do a lot of business together. He's actually buying a house that I found, and we're closing on that one later this month. But so yeah, anyway, I digress. All these little tangents in here. And you know what? Let me give credit where credit's due. Don't worry about the autocorrect. Yeah, Carolyn, that's actually a quote that I heard from Alexis, believe it or not. So let's give it credit where it's deserved. And what it comes down to is your focus, is keeping yourself focused on helping those individuals that actually need the help, because that's where you have the leverage. That's where you have the moral high ground to be able to get something closed. Because if you ever read the book Pitch Anything by Olin Klaff, he talks about that there are several frames that can come up and they can collide against each other, and the more dominant frame is going to push the other less dominant frame out of the window. And so when you're looking at this, there's a time frame, there's a power frame, and there's the three dominant ones are time, power, and moral. And anytime you butt up against those, the moral always dominates. It's always going to take have the most power. And so when you come in from a moral standpoint of like, I am only here to help you, I care less if I actually buy your house. And this is actually something that you can quote me on, because this is a true Ryan Nicholism, is I tell people, whether or not I decide to buy whether or not you decide to sell me your house, I don't mind being a resource to you. And I truly, honestly believe that. And I've had more than my fair share of deals come back to me after they decided not to sell, at least at that time, and I've been a resource to them, that they have actually come back, and I've actually been able to do business with them because of that helping nature, that helping hand, or that giving heart that's there. So when you're out there, don't do like I did. Don't get greedy. Keep yourself on the straight and narrow. Keep yourself under the eyes on the prize of being out there and helping people. And you'll see the rewards and dividends. I cannot emphasize that enough. Just like you're just one deal away from changing your entire financial future, the same thing is true that when you go out and you help somebody, that the karmic rewards that come back to you are just they're infinite because of the goodwill that you're putting out there. You may not get that particular deal, but I guarantee you that there will be a deal that's coming your way because of the goodwill and the good nature that you have out there in the marketplace. Now, I know you're going to be like, oh, but that doesn't pay the bills and doesn't stuff. And honestly, it doesn't pay the bills. You have to have a deal closed in order to do that, but you don't have to be an aggressive asshole in order to get those deals done. And that's exactly what I was becoming. I was becoming consumed about the money that was there, and I was becoming aggressive in how I was going to approach this, and end up costing me. But in order to make things work financially, I have found that, for me at least, the best way that I can do this is to approach somebody from a helping standpoint and allow them the opportunity and choice of their own free will to choose whether or not to do business with me based on the value that I've brought to the table up until that point. If I haven't brought enough value, then so what? That's okay. I haven't been able to, I don't deserve to be paid on that value that I haven't delivered in their eyes. So anyway, I'm at my appointment, and I got to finish eating my apples before I walk in. So I'll talk to y'all later. And remember, one deal away from changing your entire financial future, and go out there with a helping hands. All right, see y'all.